Well, it's so great to meet you. Thank you for reaching out to Neon Jazz. I'm looking forward to getting into it.
Me too.
So, before we get into the new album, I want to know this. 6 years ago, this pandemic was
Mhm.
changing everything for everybody, especially musicians. And I know Sweden had a very unique response to it. How did you get through that era, and how has it changed the way that you create and live today?
Um, I mean, 2020 was actually it was a special year for me. It was, I think, a big turning point in what I'm doing and how I'm doing music. Because I have a classical background, so I started playing piano and violin as a kid, and then went on with like contemporary composition, so on. So up till that point, I had always been writing music and not performing it myself. And it was right there that year when I started thinking like, I don't want to be doing music this way. Like the classical scene, it can be many times, or in some aspects, like quite rigid or strict. And I felt that I didn't want to be doing music in that way. So it's when I started thinking I want to also be on stage and do my own project and perform music. And so it was that year actually that I moved to Sweden, and that I started like everything that is happening now is coming from 2020. So
Okay.
it's the beginning of the journey.
It was the epicenter. So let's get into the brand new album. There is no end to anything round. And I want to ask you, what was the vision? What was the idea that ultimately materialized into this album?
Oh, I think, I mean, it's my first album, and I think it can happen that there are just so many things that we want to put into, a single project, and just a single piece of music that just everything is there. And for me, this album is about, those moments when you feel that everything is connected somehow, that you feel a sense of transcendence, or like it can be a sunset where everything, you have that feeling of everything is huge and I'm part of this. And or reading a book and you're reading through the words and you're seeing the words. So I wanted to connect to that feeling, which is like this door into a part of reality that we don't always see, but it's always there, like this feeling of magic. And so each one of the songs of the album is connected to different story that is coming from oral traditions, fairy tales, myths, and some of them are old, some of them are more recent, some of them are my own daydreamings. But it was this idea of having a narrative and a symbolic meaning connected to the music um, that made me think, oh, I really want to go into this and see what can come out.
That seems almost very dreamy for a debut album. The idea of dreams and all of these kind of myths and things coming together. Was that really kind of what you're trying to? Because a debut album's a big deal. It's your initial shout out into the community. Was that kind of the idea that you really wanted to tap in to the deepest part of your soul to let people see that first and foremost?
I think it is common. Just I've always had just a very big fascination for books, stories, and myths, and like that. I've been reading a lot of Joseph Campbell, Mircea Eliade, the myth of the eternal return, all that, and that has always fascinated me so much. And I thought that I wanted to somehow convey that into music, or to use the symbolical narrative as a means to go somewhere else. Um, so yeah, I think I've always been very absorbed into those kind of stories, and then it translates into music.
When you said myth, the first thing that came to mind was Joseph Campbell, and he has to be one of the most enlightened minds that has ever been on this planet. I mean, all of
Yeah.
the work that he did was absolutely amazing. So,
Yeah.
yeah. So let me ask you this. Ultimately, at the end of the day, what are you hoping the listener gets from this debut album?
Mm, I think for me, I would be happy if, with this idea of that is crossing to somewhere else, and that I think for me, music is also not only something you hear, but a space you enter. So I think if they can. somehow open the door into that part of themselves also. Like that, in a way, the music is a journey for them to go on and see where it takes them. Um, so nothing specific, but more just a journey inwards.
Speaking of that journey, let's go back to the beginnings of your life. How did music, how did jazz, how did all of this life that you're living right now as a creative begin and take hold?
Mm. I mean, I would say it was almost like fate or something that was it was placed upon me in some way.
Yeah.
My grandma wanted to be a singer. She's 98 years old now. Um, I just got a video from her holding the album, and it was also a very emotional moment for me.
Yeah.
And she wanted to be a singer, and because of the times, and in Spain when she was young, it was not possible for a woman to be a musician or to pursue that. So her parents didn't let her study music, and it even so, she's been singing her whole life, and it was her big dream that she couldn't fulfill. Then when my mother wanted to play piano and also sing, be in the music scene, my grandma didn't let her. So when my sister and I were born, my mom was like, "You guys are gonna study music." So we started like with music lessons and so on from a very early age. And luckily, like I loved it from the first moment, and it was like for me, it's been always a way of expressing myself and just easier to use than words many times. So that's how I ended up here.
So who were early influences? Who did you emulate? Who did you look up to that eventually led you to find your own unique voice?
Mm, I mean, I listened to a lot of classical music as a kid. It was the music that we always had at home. I remember waking up with Mozart's Requiem and just the I don't know, Rachmaninoff, Bach, Brahms. I didn't discover jazz until way later on. But then it was also like just this big music world that was very new to me at that point. And then I think I've been, in a way, trying to connect all these different facets. Um,
So do you remember the first live show that you saw, whether it was jazz or otherwise, that really moved you and informed maybe whether consciously or subconsciously the way that you would approach the stage?
um, the first live show. Yeah, I think it might have been yeah, it was a classical music again, and it was an um orchestra concert. It was in this auditorium, and it was the Rite of Spring, and I had studied the piece and I had listened to it, and I had never connected to it. I have always felt that, oh, it's strange and weird, and I don't understand why everybody likes it so much. And then they were playing it live. And I remember that right in that moment, everything somehow uh, came together, all the pieces, like in real time. And I could only sit there and cry as I was listening. And since then, I think it's one of my most favorite pieces. But I think it really made a very strong impact in the sense that how, when you listen to something live, is really a completely different experience than when you're listening to just anywhere else.
Yeah, yeah. So let me ask you this. Obviously, you've had this dream of being in music for a long time. What's been the difference between what you thought your life would be like as a musician and what it's actually turned out to be living the life of a musician? What's that space in between?
Mm. I guess that space in between is writing a lot of emails, which I hadn't foreseen, I guess. Um, yeah, I think it's one dreams about, being a musician and then having the whole day full of hours where you're just inside of your instrument practicing, composing, dedicating yourself to your craft. And I mean, there's a big part of this life which is about, organizing things, writing things, promoting, like, so I guess that whole part I hadn't seen.
Yeah. So let me ask you this. What do you like the best about being a professional musician? When you wake up every day and you get to create and you get to live this life you dreamed of, what do you like the best about it?
Mm, I think what I like the most is I really like playing by myself. I think I have like a very close relationship with the piano or with the voice in that sense, and composing I really love. I think like just to be able um, to express myself in that language, which is abstract, and you don't need words, and you don't need to convey things in the way you need to when you're talking. I think that's a very special thing. Or I don't know, when you're composing and you're stuck, and you have reached a dead end. There's no way of going forward with the composition, and suddenly you play something new that changes everything else. I think that's a very precious moment right there. That it's a very special kind of joy,
Yeah.
or yeah.
So why do you love this music we call jazz?
I think it's the freedom of it. Like when I was doing classical music, that was what I felt. It couldn't let me be myself somehow, and that's why I came also to. I was very inspired by Scandinavian jazz and Scandinavian players, and that's why I came here, because it felt that there was room for everything you could think of, and there was room to connect all different things that you could imagine, and to dream in a way about the sound that you would want to create. So I think that's what I like about jazz.
So if you could get into a time machine and go back into the history of jazz and see one live show, one performance, what would you love to have seen with your own eyes?
Mm, um, I mean, I know you asked me about jazz, but I might have to come back to the Rite of Spring
Okay.
because
Yeah.
I think that was just I mean, I think most of my emotional world and also my musical world it is connected to classical music in that sense, even if I'm not doing that anymore. And it's it has different ways of expression, but I think it would have been pretty wild to
Yeah.
be in that premiere where everybody went crazy, and uh, you know, I think that would have been something that I would have wanted to see.
Yeah, for sure. So let me ask you
Yeah.
this. Everyone has a perception of you, family, friends, fans, everyone on the bandstand, everyone in a business sense, but you run the show. What's your perception of you? Who do you think you are?
Mm, that's that's a big question.
Yes, it is.
Who do you think you are?
That's right. Who do you think you
Yeah.
are?
I think that what I am, or what I always want to be, is just honest with what I do. I think that if I can convey an honest emotion in what I play, then I think that's it. And I think it's also like I've never thought of myself as a musician that goes into a single part of the craft or a single instrument and really refines that to the peak of perfection. I really admire that, but I know that I'm not a musician. I'm interested in many, many different things. So I feel like trying to encompass a lot of things together, it's like with the electronics and with the piano and the voice, visuals. Like I think I see music as something that has many different sides, and it has texture and color and yeah, space that inhabits. So
Yeah.
that may be polyphacetic
Yeah, for sure.
aspect of
So let me ask you this. Your debut is out in the world. Um, what if we talk 10 years from now? What do you
Hmm.
want to see happen in your career here in the next decade? What's kind of your dreamy notion of what will happen?
Mm. Um, I think that I have just started doing something right now that I'm just, oh, I have found this little thing, or I have found this way of making music that makes sense for me, which is like this that I was talking about before, which is like it is a complete experience that you experience with your whole body, right? And um, I think that what I want to bring on stage is also that when the audience comes in, it's not you're not there to just listen to a concert, but you're entering a different world, and all of these elements are coming together and are connected. So I feel that I have just started exploring that, and 10 years from now, um, I would like to talk about like all the many weird different things I have discovered along the way, and just all those findings along trying to connect all these different elements.
So, what do you like the best about living in Sweden, and what do you miss about Spain?
I think I really enjoyed the cultural life here and how um, there's that freedom I was talking about before, uh, where many different things meet. Um, I have also found many beautiful people here to play with and to share music. What I miss the most is the sun, definitely.
Yeah. Yeah. So if
Live.
yeah, for sure. So are what are you doing for live performances? If anybody wants to get a copy, I know it's streaming everywhere, but if anybody wants to get a copy of the album, where's the best place to go?
We have it in Bandcamp,
Okay.
also through my website, and yeah, all streaming platforms, or just contact me directly. That also works.
Okay. Excellent. I will put all these links in the show notes. This has been absolutely wonderful. Thank you so much for talking about your music, your career, the new album. Best of luck on it. I appreciate it.
Yeah, thank you so much for having me.
Yeah, you bet.
Neon Jazz.